Hi, my name's Daniella Blechner. I'm an author, book journey mentor, founder of a company called Conscious Dreams Publishing based in London, UK.
Hello and welcome to Obehi podcast. I'm your host, Obehi A14, and I strongly believe that everyone has a story to share. Now let's get started into this episode.
We work with authors from all over the world to help them to get their powerful messages and stories out there in the form of professional books. Behind me on this bookshelf are just some of the 130 plus books that we've published over the last 5 to 6 years. I'm absolutely passionate about providing a platform for unseen, unheard authors so they can have their voices heard and stories shared so they can educate, inspire and empower the generations to come. When I started out as an author, so from a very young age, I always said, I want to be an author. That was my dream. That was my ambition. So my aim was never really to set up a publishing company. It came through default. So I published my first book in 2014. It was called Mr. Wrong, which is a book based on relationships. Stories written by women who've encountered this infamous Mr. Wrong, but there's success stories in there as well. It looks at self-discovery as well, the power of forgiveness, the power of intention setting, the power of understanding your values and learning about yourself and making better decisions. And so I tried to go the traditional route, which means writing a query letter to agents. And it was very difficult at the time. I was getting lots of rejection letters saying that I needed it's a great book, but I needed more of a marketing strategy or I needed more of a platform. Things have changed a lot for, authors now trying to get traditional publishing deals. We're asked to provide a lot more evidence in terms of social media and platforms. And so I thought, by hook or by crook, I am going to publish this book. So I researched extensively how to set up a publishing company, how to publish my own book. I published my first book here, Mr. Wrong, in 2014. That did quite well. It got onto the bestseller list, beating Steve Harvey's Think Like a Man, Act Like a Lady, if you know that book. And I got some quite good press coverage as well. And I had lots of authors, especially Black women, coming to me saying, look, I've got an amazing story. Everyday women who've overcome extraordinary things, who wanted help to publish their book. And I was helping them as a labour of love. And then they started to do really well and become really successful. And I thought, I'm a teacher first and foremost, teacher and mentor, and I love literature. Why don't I fuse the two together, set up this publishing company officially as a business and start offering publishing and mentoring services? And it's grown since then. We've been inundated with people from all over the world who want to publish their book. From a young age, I loved writing. I had a fascination with words, how you can use words. Words are powerful. I started off writing poetry at 4, the cat sat on the mat. I started to make links between words and rhyme. And then I wrote stories. I wrote my first book, actually it's next door. I would show it to you, but it means getting up. But I've got a book that I made at 10 years old that I glued together. I did all of the illustrations. It was a pop-up book. I had all the writing and I had my own ISBN code at the back. It was just something that I loved doing. So there wasn't anything that, I guess it's a sense of the fact that I love reading myself. I loved escaping away, using my imagination, learning about different magical lands, just things that interest me, learning about information I hadn't learned. So as a young person, I loved seeking knowledge and I loved also fiction books and, exploring imagination. So it was that really engaged me with writing. My mum was originally from Jamaica. My dad was born here in this country. He's Polish English. Polish Jewish roots, but was born here. His dad came over here as a refugee in the 40s. No, a long time ago. early 1900s.
Okay.
So what was life like growing up in London? I mean, London's a very diverse city. In the UK is a huge place. So London is a very different place compared to outside of London, especially when you're moving to more village and rural country areas. So I'm used to living in a very diverse area. I was brought up with a lot of different people from different backgrounds, different cultures, different stories, different races, different religions, and that's, I think, is something that's beautiful and unique about London. My identity comes through my understanding my roots, my culture, understanding my heritage, First and foremost, with the family understanding, mum's side, my mum came here from Jamaica just after the Windrush era. My dad's dad came here as a refugee from during the Holocaust from Germany, and my dad grew up here when mum and dad met each other. So what I really enjoyed was actually learning about the journeys that my ancestors took on both sides of my parentage. That's one part of my identity. I also identify very much as being a Londoner, and as I said before, that what I love about London is it's a very diverse city. You get to experience people in one space from different backgrounds, cultures, religions, races, different stories, different journeys. I'm a truth seeker. I'm a storyteller, and I very much enjoy meeting different people, especially people who have stories that are unheard, unseen. Maybe they feel marginalized. I myself have felt marginalized, growing up in London, and being fed definitely as a young person a single narrative. A lot of the times, I loved reading a lot of the books that I read by, I don't know if they're the authors, like Enid Blyton, Roald Dahl. I love the stories. I love the characters, but the characters weren't diverse. I could never see anyone that represented me. And so what that did in terms of part of my identity was it made me feel marginalized. It made me feel ostracized and outside and as not as important. And I think it's such a shame, because London, again, is a really diverse place. And as a teacher, I think it's really important that our young people are reading books that feature a plethora of different people from different backgrounds that reflect London, the city they live in. I think things are changing, but a lot of this has shaped my identity in terms of what I think is important in terms of representation.
If you enjoy this podcast, make sure you subscribe so you never miss any of our future episodes. Rate and review Obehi podcast and share with your friends who might need it. I remain Obehi Ewanfo. Thank you so much for listening, and talk to you in the next episode.